In Civil Site Design version 26.2 onwards, users now have a new way to identify high and low points within their string models. Found in the Civil Site Design tool space and right-clicking on the object collector called Models, we now have the Show High Low Points command, and if you want to run this from the ribbon, you can go up to the Roads tab, Modeling panel, click on the Model Builder pull down, and you can see that we have Add High Low Points. When you first start this command, you're going to be prompted to choose a model, and in this case I'm going to be using Total Model, but you can use any model that includes strings. Within that model there are going to be strings which obviously have codes. Now we can cherry pick which codes we want to analyze for the purposes of the high-low points, and what I'm going to do is to identify high-low points anywhere along the invert code of any strings within this particular model. To enable me to batch select, all you do is you select the codes that you want holding Shift, and you can deselect these from the list simply clicking the checkbox. I'm going to do the same again all the way down to RINV, deselect these codes, and then finally remove the RTK code from the selection. This basically means that there are 14 left invert codes, and the reason why that differs to the right invert code, and there's only 5 there, is because the majority of these left invert codes are actually for the curve returns, which all run in an anti-clockwise direction. Underneath we can change the default Civil Site Design Cogo point style. If you want to just use the default style, you are welcome to, including the code set as well. We can just leave those as they are. If you want to identify these Cogo points on screen, they will have a code added to them, and this is actually to prevent them going into a contourable point group within the point group manager here. What I would suggest you do is just change this to low, LOW, if you want to just identify low points. If you're checking on underneath low and high, obviously just make sure that you put maybe low/high, but this is a much easier way to identify low, running it first and then run it again for high. So I'm going to make sure low is the only option which is checked. We can leave the tolerance as it is, and this is really used to minimize any low point detection because we detect the low points between sample sections. So if you've got a very, very flat site, you do not want to be having lots of low points being picked up in the vicinity when you've really only got one. We're going to click on Process. The software will now go ahead and review the model, review the strings and codes, and then it's generating 9 Cogo points. We're going to click OK. Once we click into the drawing, you can see that the Cogo points are being displayed. These Cogo points are not dynamic, which does mean that if I want to run this command again, ideally I would remove or delete these Cogo points from the drawing before proceeding again. Because I'm going to run this command again, but this time go for the high points, I can leave them where they are. So I'm going to come in here, change this to high, uncheck low points, check high points, and click Process. Obviously there is less of a requirement to maybe determine the high points on this project. Obviously the low points are more important for things like drainage and identifying those areas, but you can see here how those high points have then been picked up. Now if you're creating a large quantity of Cogo points and potentially something that's in the 3 to 4 digits, running a select similar on these to delete them, you may find takes a bit of processing power. If you want to remove these in one hit, you can come to the point groups. You'll see that they are displayed with the description. So if I decide I want to remove these from the drawing, I can simply just use my Shift key to select them all, click on Options, and then click Delete, Delete Selected. And this will remove them entirely from the drawing, which means I'm now in a position to run this command again.